eternal blessings. So I'm back with a video. So I'm back into a routine. Try to get you guys some more consistent content. Before we begin, just a couple quick announcements. First and foremost, if you are interested in a spiritual reading or a consultation, I offer various different types of readings. Scientific workday readings, Egyptian oracle readings, telepathic demonic readings, shadow work readings. Which shadow work reading, again, is always a great reading to do if you're looking for a sense of purpose and direction as far as your ritual work. Kind of see what's going on, around you in the current moment. Shadow work is, as I said before, is a continuous process. Right? Maybe interested in a deity reading to see what gods, goddesses, demons, and spirits walk with you. Again, not to worship them, but to establish a further connection or relationship with those spirits, gods, goddesses, and demons. Okay? Or maybe you're just interested in a spiritual consultation. As I said before, people use those particular sessions just to have a bunch of questions. Usually people come with a whole list of questions. Sometimes people use it to focus on a specific situation, or maybe they want to focus on a particular aspect of the path, etc. Any of the four aforementioned, shoot me an email, khnum19@gmail.com. Please include in the email your availability on a weekly basis, and also include the time zone, and we'll find a day and time that works for both of us. All right. Also, don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos social media pages. Primordial Chaos 9 on Instagram, all one word. Primordial Chaos, 2 words, on Facebook, and primordialchaos.com. primordialchaos.com 3 on TikTok. That's the best way to stay up to abreast on latest happenings, announcements, classes, and whatever we got going on here on Primordial Chaos. Also, if you're interested in taking classes, which is the #1 email I get all the time, go to the Patreon page. Join the Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, BANITI, tier 3. That is the tier that will give you access to the 3 private classes I do every month on Patreon, in addition to the group ritual we do together at the end of the month. Not only does it give you access from the day you join, moving forward, you also get access to everything in the archives going back 5+ years. Excuse me. Which is a lot of material. Ritual work, resources, books. Gives you access to all that information. I have a bunch of ongoing classes with constant new classes being added regularly. If you want to see all of the classes that are ongoing right now, when you go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/Baniti, BANITI, go to the collection section. You will see each class that is ongoing right now. When you join tier 3, you have access to everything in the collection section. All right? So check it out, patreon.com/Baniti. 8th annual Journey of the Black Adept Conference coming October 2025. I will have an exact date. Again, it will be either the 3rd or the 4th week in the month of October. So look out for that coming shortly, so you can make your plans and your arrangements, but you definitely can plan for somewhere around that time, and we'll have that date very soon. All right. Also, don't forget to check out the Primordial Chaos podcast, available on Spotify and all major podcast platforms. Direct link to the podcast, contact email address, direct link to the social media pages, and the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes. All those links are in this description box of the video that you're watching right now. So I want to do a wrap up on the series. The last 2 videos I did, we were talking about heaven and hell, and does God and the devil exist, this, that, and the third. Those videos, again, were done for the sole purpose. Again, all those dogmas must be eliminated in order for you to proceed on the path of self-mastery. They're covered and addressed to kind of dispel the foolishness, that they're dealing with. So, since we've covered those topics, now let's move on to the more important topic, that your nature, right? These concepts of God and devil, both of those natures, as you've heard me say many times before, as described, reside within all of us. Okay? And really, in essence, it's all the same thing. You're just looking at varying vibrational degrees of the same thing. But this is why you got these topics when these different spiritual systems and religions separated all this shit. So now you think one is different from the other and vice versa. Now, real quick, and this will finish off this topic. This will be a short tutorial. These books that people are still fighting, arguing, and debating over. Okay? I want to say this for the last time. Well, for the last time in the sense of, let's get this synced in our head, because I know it won't be the last time the topic comes up. So let me rephrase that. It gets a little confusing, and why people continue to argue over this nonsense. And you see it all over the internet and different platforms. We're arguing over books that are a conglomeration of cultures that predated it. Okay? You have to understand when you're reading, for an example, the first 7 chapters of Genesis, you're basically reading the Atra Hasis. You're reading a watered-down version of it. The creation story, the flood of Noah, similar story to the story of the fish. So the Bible and the Quran are a conglomeration of texts that predated. It's that simple. Now, you don't have to accept that. You don't have to believe that. But when you do the research and the history, the facts and the research is going to validate that. Forget what you like. Right? And this is why I'm trying to tell you why some people who come on this path, and I see this many times over the years, people come from being a Christian or a Muslim or whatever it may be, one of those monotheistic religions. And they come on this path and they struggle. Because they hit some point when they get on this path that they truly have not rid themselves of this spook sky daddy god, this inferiority complex that religion has given them and indoctrinated them with. It rears its ugly head on a subconscious level. Trauma and the residue from religion and dogmas that they were exposed to for many years come back to the surface. Now, this is part of your shadow work, right? We address this in our shadow work. Our shadow work class we do on Patreon is very detailed. We address religious programming, social programming, ethnic programming, because a lot of people are raised under a certain ethnicity, and with that ethnicity, most times comes certain traditions, come certain religions. Right? All of this is part of the deprogramming process. Okay? It's the deprogramming and reprogramming process of shadow work. Okay? And that's what this video is about. Okay? When someone is still dealing with psychological residue from religion, that's part of the triggers of trauma that you must deal with in your shadow work. Okay? I see it all the time. Look, I'm even going to say, even that this is also a common problem with people that come from so-called other woke paths of spirituality. I've seen people come over from comedic paths. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but sometimes those people can be more religious in a sense than you're Christian, you're Muslim, or you're Jew. What I am saying is those are what we call the lesser mysteries of spirituality. Right? That's low vibrational frequency dogmas and doctrines. If you stay on those low vibrational frequency doctrines, you're going to become a low vibrational frequency being. Why? Because it puts you in a system of inferiority. What is the system of inferiority? You think that there's some supreme being that exists outside of yourself that's, again, out there, way out there somewhere in the skies, in outer space, in heaven, that is controlling the very strings to every, pulling the strings to every course of your life. Okay? That is a low vibrational frequency mentality. And it's very easy for the powers that be that are about money, power, and control to keep you in an ignorant mind state when you're vibrating at such a low frequency. Because low vibrational frequency beings are very emotional and very reactive. This is why when you try to debate or argue with a religious person, they get very emotional. They get very angry. And sometimes they get so enraged they want to fight you. Right? Because they're not used to people picking apart their silly doctrine and pointing out all the contradictions. So it activates a certain emotion of anger in them, and they want to attack you. It's foolishness. Like I said, you've heard me say many times over the years, I've done in videos, part of what you have to do on this path, if you claim to be on this path, let me stress that, you know, a lot of people that be faking the phone. They have the occult dibble-dabblers, you know, just the fence stragglers. They want to play occult when it's convenient for them, then they go back to their kumbaya shit. You know, and it's always the ones that go back to the kumbaya shit, the holier thou, the new age bullshit, are the ones that claim to be so dark and hardcore. And I told you, this would be the year that a lot of spiritual people fall off. So-called spiritual people fall off, I should say. So part of that process is eliminating things that don't serve you no purpose no more. But for whatever reason, people want to continue to hold on to shit that absolutely serves them no purpose at all. And if you really address and analyze what would make you stay in something that you know is wrong. Let me throw that out there. What would make you stay in something that was not productive? What would, if you came on a path like this of true enlightenment, true self-mastery, and learn all the facts and information that you have learned that got you to this path of illumination and true awakening, why would an individual regress back? That's the $1 million question. It's a $1 million question. It's a very simple answer. It's because they have not gotten over a lot of the psychological programming. They have not dealt with, or they might have thought they did, but they did not deal with the serious levels of indoctrination that they are suffering from. That's why. And again, the deprogramming and reprogramming of shadow work, the process of it, is critical and key to your personal growth. So we always talk about programming, right? The word programming or reprogramming, it could take on what one would perceive as a human being as something negative or positive, right? So when you have an agenda to indoctrinate somebody with a certain mindset that you know is wrong, that is programming somebody, you know, through systems or modes of indoctrination, because you have an agenda. So that form of programming is dangerous or deadly to the selected individual. But you can program or reprogram something after removing something that was improper or incorrect. I've always said this over the years. Look at your subconscious mind as a hard drive on a computer. Okay, so your subconscious mind is that hard drive. It stores everything it is exposed to, whether that's information, visuals, everything you can think of. Your subconscious, it's like a sponge, your mind. It stores everything. But as we know, a hard drive, if overloaded, or if it gets infected, it gets a virus, right? You need to have somebody or yourself, if you have the tech savvy skills to reprogram the hard drive, as they say. Well, that's essentially what you're doing with shadow work and work in general on this path. Your brain, aka the spiritual computer, has been exposed to so much shit over the years that you wouldn't even have one session. You couldn't even sit down in one session like this and cover all the ground, other shit. And it's like a sponge. It absorbs it all. But just like if you overeat or you intake too much of anything, it can overload, right? Just like if you download or store too many files on a hard drive, you're gonna start having malfunctions with the hard drive. Because at some point the hard drive cannot store and process everything that you're putting on it. So it's a system overload. And what tends to happen when you are not reprogramming your subconscious mind and dealing with your bullshit, what happens is it's over time as that starts to build up, it implodes on you and it leads you down a path that's not going to be productive. What do I mean? You start making fucked up decisions. You start being very neglectful of things you need to pay attention to. Just all types of shit that one would label, an outsider would look at, that you would call bad luck, isn't technically bad luck. It's a manifestation and the production of your choices and your decisions. Okay? So, the programming and reprogramming process, right? You first have to deprogram a lot of the programming that you've been exposed to. Again, as I said earlier, that could be educational programming, cultural programming is very, very powerful, religious programming, right? All of those things, each individual has to address about themselves. Because usually that's a telltale sign of why people are having issues or are struggling. Okay? So you can't play games with your spirituality, or your spiritual path, or your spiritual life. Don't play games with it. Okay? Make a concentrated effort to really understand and master yourself, and stop wanting to be a follower all the time. Stop following what everybody. Stop doing what everybody's doing. And just because everybody's doing it doesn't make it right. But we live in a society and a world where monkey see, monkey do. You know, oh, this is the latest fad. This is the latest trend. So people just get on board because everybody else is getting on board. It's something my mother used to tell me. If my mom would discipline us or get digging our ass about something we did with our friends as we were kids growing up. She used to say something that stood out. If all your friends jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge, would you jump off the Brooklyn Bridge with them? She'd say that shit to me all the time. It was her way of telling me in an indirect, polite way, think for your fucking self. Stop following what everybody else is doing, because just because everybody else is doing it, again, doesn't mean that it's right. And that's hard for young kids, you know. And when you're in that very young teenage, right when you get out of your 10s, 11s, and 12s and become 13 and 14, I think it's the worst fucking age. It's the worst age because a lot of 13 and 14-year-olds think they know everything. And they don't know shit. But that is just a very rebellious and fucked up age, I'm telling you. So, yes, make sure, you know, you have a full, thorough understanding of yourself and the connection to this path, or the lack thereof. Okay? So those when you see those videos, and there'll be more in the future on and off, when I'm addressing religious theology like that, I'm doing it in the form of shadow work, because I'm deprogramming and reprogramming. And that's why we went through those, you know, concepts. Because really that's the core and the meat of the ignorance of religion that keeps that veil of ignorance over everybody so strong that if you just look at how mythologically stupid a lot of those stories are, it kind of sets the record straight and clarifies things. And my hope is that you would take that information and then apply it to yourself so you can start that deconstruction process within yourself. Okay? Look, the bottom line is we still live in a world that no matter how many times you address these topics, the questions will continue to come up over and over again, but sometimes obviously they come in maybe packaged a little bit different, but it's all the same thing. And if you're not an individual that can stand on his tune by themselves, again, let me just reiterate to you, this is not the path for you. Go to a path of following and servitude. That will suit you better. That will quench your thirst for the doubt that arises within you when you're not sure of what you're doing on the path. There's a lot of look, I'm gonna leave you with this. I think you get the point. But I'm gonna leave you with this. I look back and reflect at so many people. I'm just gonna give you an example. I look back, we're in the year 2025. I'm gonna go back roughly when we started doing a lot of group stuff and I started running into a lot of people, being down here, coming around that time, a little bit before that. I just think of so many people that fall under the category of faking the funk. And as I'm talking now, I can see them one by one, face by face. These are the ones, I'm so dark, I'm so hardcore, nobody wants to fuck with me, I'll do this and that. And some of them, if you see what some of them are doing now, and what they're into, you'd laugh your ass off. It's hilarious. Okay, and I've been seeing this going back many years, even prior to 2016. I'm just gauging a period that was very recent. I've seen this going back to the 90s. Okay? And I'm not saying it to be judgmental. I'm saying it and using it as an example for people who are conflicted and confused. That's all. No other reason. But anyway, the deprogramming and reprogramming process of shadowing. Right? Ask yourself, are you doing it? Are you really looking at the parts of yourself that you need to apply that concept to help you grow and evolve on this path, right? Hopefully this short tutorial helped you out. Again, if you need to reach out to me for a spiritual reading or a consultation, the direct link to my email address, along with the direct link to the podcast, the social media pages, and the direct link to the Primordial Chaos Patreon page to sign up for classes is in the description box of this video you're watching right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. Infernal blessings. We're out of here.